Now at 6, lifeguards making many rescues amid dangerous ocean conditions, and an even bigger swell is coming.
Plus, the new website aiming to help in the search for a missing Oceanside mother. And how a fast ride is making neighbors furious near Universal Studios.
This morning, lifeguards are warning about dangerous rip currents and heavy surf ahead of Hurricane Genevieve. You can see those waves crashing in that live shot there. It is 6 a.m. on this Wednesday. I'm Eric Connert.
And I'm Chris Groh. We do have team coverage. News 8's Tori Apodaca is live at the beach with important reminders, but we do want to begin with Evan Irani with more on that high surf advisory taking effect later today. Evan?
Yeah, we already have the beach hazard statement in effect right now, but a coastal flood advisory and high surf advisory will both be taking effect this evening just as that beach hazard statement expires. We kind of have a combination of ingredients. So, of course, Hurricane Genevieve, no threat of landfall with that storm, but creating this high surf, and then the full moon creating that extra astronomical pull, creating high tide. So 3 to 6 foot waves, some sets of 7 footers possible. We are not surprised, though, that so many people are heading to the beach, and that's because it's the most mild place to be in San Diego County. About mid 70s, maybe upper 70s toward the afternoon, upper 80s and low 90s, depending on how far east you're going, and all the way up to 112 for the deserts. This is actually a more mild stretch for us, with temperatures closer to average today and tomorrow before another warm up comes by the weekend. So the weekend is going to be that combination of very hot temperatures, but also dangerous surf out by the coast, which is why we remind people, please check in with a lifeguard if you are not an experienced surfer or swimmer. They're going to be the experts on what things look like out by your local beaches. In just a few, we'll be taking a look at that 7-day forecast, talk about heat-related alerts, a heat advisory, and extreme heat warning that will both be taking effect later on this week. Back to you two.
All right, thank you, Evan. As you mentioned, a beach hazard statement is still in effect.
Yeah, that big surf you're seeing out there right now along our coast, keeping lifeguards very busy this week. News 8's Tori Apodaca live at Windansea Beach with what lifeguards want everyone to know here. Tori.
Hi, good morning. Lifeguards tell us that they have been making more than 100 rescues a day. I can tell you right now, out here at Windansea, the waves are already looking intense. Of course, good news for surfers who are trying to catch some waves, as you can see them out here live right now in the water. But go ahead and take a look at Windansea on Tuesday afternoon. You can see lifeguards were very busy going in and out of the water on their jet skis as swimmers got pulled into those rip currents. The beach hazard statement is still in effect until 5 p.m. today, but once that expires, a high surf advisory goes into effect through Saturday evening due to the return of large breaking waves, especially along south and southwest facing beaches. Rip currents will also continue to stick around. Minor coastal flooding, another possibility during the evening high tides due to the combination of elevated surf and an extra gravitational pull on those tides from the approaching full moon tonight. El Niño and Hurricane Genevieve off of Baja are driving these big swells, expecting surf to reach 7 feet at times. So if you do find yourself struggling in the water, lifeguards say to try and float on your back, raise your arm and wave, and scream for help. If you are too exhausted, though, lifeguards say that they're trained to look out for signs for when people need that type of help.
Shore break, and the shore break can be 6 to 8 feet tall, and you can be standing ankle deep at one moment, and the next the waves overhead taking people, knocking them down, water rushes up the beach, and then it pulls them straight back out to sea.
And back out here live, again, some of those surfers already out in the water this morning. Of course, it's so tempting to get in when we're seeing such hot temperatures and the water temperature just around 75 degrees during the daytime. But lifeguards really just reminding people to be extra cautious. And really, if you're not an experienced swimmer, remember to swim near an active lifeguard tower. A good idea to check in with them. And of course, pay attention to any posted signs. Reporting live from Windansea Beach this morning, Tori Apodaca, News 8.
All right, Tori, yeah, those waves pretty big behind you there. Often when people do get caught in rip currents, they panic, and that typically comes from not knowing what to do in that type of situation. A few years ago, News 8's Sean Stiles, you see him right there, he got into the water to show us how to escape the danger. You got to swim parallel to the shore to get out of that rip, right? You can watch his full story at CBS8.com.
Wow, yeah. All right, this morning, the U.S. Coast Guard is also warning about hazardous ocean conditions, especially if you have a boat. Officials say that mariners should properly secure their vessels and stow all gear, avoid breakaway hazards, and reduce false distress alerts during turbulent sea and weather conditions. They say hurricanes that are far away can still create deadly conditions in the water, and never assume the ocean is safe, even if the weather is nice. And this morning, Amtrak is warning that the high tide could impact Pacific Surfliner train service near San Clemente. Officials say it could affect tracks and train signals near the station there. This could lead to delays or cancellations for the train services on your screen now through Friday.
This morning, there's a new website as the search for a missing Oceanside mother continues. It's called FindAngelicabrophy.com. It contains verified information, details on searches, and allows you to submit tips. Brophy was last seen July 6th at Harrah's Resort in Valley Center. Her car was found 3 days later in the parking lot of Palomar Mountain State Park. Another search is being organized for this Saturday. This morning, we're learning a man who died at Big Bear Lake was from San Diego. According to his obituary, 33-year-old Andrew Ferrone died in a rock climbing accident 2 weeks ago today. He leaves behind his wife, who is pregnant. A GoFundMe has been set up for them. This morning, officials with the city of San Diego and Mission Trails Regional Park are reviewing a possible mountain lion encounter. They say it happened near Soycott Valley Trail. Officials warn you to stay alert, don't approach wildlife, and call 911 for immediate threats.
We've been talking about the possibility of a strong El Niño. This morning, we are taking a closer look at how it could impact weather around the world. Here's Peter Warner.
There is growing concern as the likelihood of a strong to very strong El Niño will be in place later this year. Its impacts can be felt across the globe. During a strong El Niño event, warmer than normal ocean water near the equator changes the jet stream, shifting storm tracks and altering weather patterns thousands of miles away. That can bring heavier rain and flooding to parts of the southern United States and parts of South America. But places like Australia, Indonesia, and southern Africa often see hotter, drier conditions that can increase wildfire risk. A strong El Niño impacts fisheries, agriculture, and coral reefs, making it one of the most important climate patterns meteorologists monitor. It typically leads to a large increase in global temperatures as well. For example, the strongest El Niño on record, the 1997-98 El Niño, increased global temperatures by 1.5 degrees Celsius.
All right, coming up at 7 on the CBS 8 app, we'll take a look at strong El Niños in the past.
Yeah, taking a peek outside here, those waves really crashing behind Tori's live shot here. You got to be careful. I mean, it's nice to cool off because of this heat we've been experiencing, but be by the lifeguard towers.
And always opt for the bay if you feel like you're not comfortable getting in the ocean itself. There are plenty of spots to enjoy the water where you can hop in directly. Mission Bay, for example, great place to be to avoid those direct waves. Maybe get some paddle boarding in, just dip your toes in. You still get to enjoy the more mild temperatures too, the closer you are to the water. The farther east you are, that's where you're going to start to encounter some pretty hot temperatures. For example, this is what we see out at Otay Mountain. The clouds are starting to part. You can still see some of them as you look down the back slopes of the mountains, but generally speaking, sunrise was at 6:01 and we were able to see it from the mountains. Our inland valleys are socked in a bit, as is our coastline, with a fair amount of cloud cover. Sunset not coming our way until 7:49. Current visibility out the door is not reduced along the coast, but we do still have some of those morning clouds with us. Out toward Ramona, we do have less than half a mile of visibility on hand. Part of the reason why we're going to be seeing this uptick in surf, 3 to 6 foot waves, 7 foot sets possible, is because of Hurricane Genevieve, currently a Category 3 hurricane, still hundreds of miles off of the coast of Cabo and curving in the opposite direction, so no threat of landfall with this storm. But because it is still out in the ocean, it is going to send some of that high surf our way, basically toward the entirety of the Baja Peninsula and up the Bight. So we're going to be seeing surf between 3 and 6 feet. 7 foot sets possible. It's also responsible for sending a lot of that warmer ocean water our way. Remember, we've been seeing that ocean water temperature steadily climb. The buoys across San Diego County have been climbing in terms of the temperatures they're recording. And this is part of the reason. When you get this huge amount of warm ocean water traveling north, it brings our ocean water temperature up. We're also going to be seeing our afternoon highs climb as the weekend approaches. Friday through Sunday is where we see our peak, with Saturday likely being the single warmest day in the next 7 to 10 days. Let's take a look at traffic, 6:09 on the clock. We right now are still watching as it could run into some slight delays on the 5. This is on the 5 northbound before Encinitas Boulevard. Disabled vehicle blocking the center divider. Right now, it looks like there are no major slowdowns in either direction. CHP may have been able to push this over to the shoulder. Earlier this morning, we had 2 other crashes that were in play. They've both been cleared, it looks like. A crash and a car fire that was cleaned up, blocking the right lane in Miramar on 15 southbound. Again, that is clear. Same goes for the stalled vehicle that was partially blocking the off-ramp in Santee on the 52 eastbound. Both of these back to smooth speeds and both back open this morning. Let's take a look at your border wait times now. It's 6:10 on the clock right now, 90-minute wait, about an hour and a half. Either way, you're looking at San Ysidro, 90 minutes. Same goes for Otay Mesa Port of Entry, about 90 minutes overall. Chris and Eric.
All right, thank you, Evan. Still ahead, how the president wants to honor a California lifeguard after a dramatic rescue.
Plus, an update on water pressure problems in Anaheim that even impacted the happiest place on Earth. And the fast new roller coaster at Universal Studios leading to furious complaints.